Hello, everyone. How is your Tuesday going? This is Lewis Mabee, and we are here tonight. And I am going to be talking about uh, spiritual connection, about beating yourself up, and why do people want to beat themselves up, and why is it a habit, and how we can uh, erase that from our consciousness, or at least put it at bay so that we can live a more fuller, happier life and not be so judgmental in ourselves. And so, uh, First of all, I want to say happy birthday to my grandfather. Today is his birthday. He's 92 today. So happy birthday, Grandpa. Love you. I just actually got off the phone talking with him and Grandpa Ray, and he still has it all. He can still go. He went out to the Mandarin for dinner, so he doesn't eat much, but I guess the Mandarin, for anyone that doesn't know, is a Chinese buffet place. So it's one of his favorite places to live or to go to eat. So anyway, so why do we beat ourselves up? Why is it a human condition that we are constantly beating ourselves up um and live in such a narrow mind frame of why we think that we deserve to be in pain or agony, because that's what we do to ourselves when we beat ourselves up. We put ourselves into pain and agony. And is that a spiritual connection uh that we want to continue? Um and that's even with Vanessa, for example. She says she has pain in her body, and we can manifest uh our our stuff that we do with beating ourselves up into a physical pain, and we can make ourselves sick from that. And I think that's also a link to at least why the mass population of this world has become more and more sick, because of the stress that we put ourselves under, the demands that we put ourselves under, the pressure, the perfectionism that we're seeking for some silly reason. My thing is always, if I'm perfect, it's time for me to die. It's time for me to leave this body and go back home, because that's where perfection truly is. We're not here to be perfect. We're here to experience. We're here to live. We're here to fall down. We're here to get up and dust ourselves off and try again. So when we put ourselves in judgment, then we're not doing ourselves any justice, and we're not really truly having a fulfilling life experience of love and happiness. And yes, of course, we have to go through some pain to enjoy the positivity, but the mission is not to stay in that negativity, and to quickly or as quickly learn from it, and grow and take the lessons with you, and don't repeat but build your infrastructure so that it's nice and sound. um, I made some notes. So what we can do to uh, be, be more positive, or think more positively, and keep the negative thoughts, or the self-punishing thoughts at bay. And These are things that I do, or have done. I So from my experience, it has worked, and they have worked well for me. You may try some of them, you might try all of them, you may not try any of them. But again, I think by not trying any of them, and you are in self-doubt, or you are in some sort of pain and agony, then what do you have to lose? Because look what haven't you done, and where it's gotten you, kind of thing. And so now is the time for you to release, surrender, release, breathe, have a little bit of patience with yourself and with others, and to really truly learn how to shine, and not have to focus on now's the time to shine, but to just shine naturally. Um, Keep a praise journal. One of the best things that I've ever done, and this was told to me long, long, long time ago, by someone, was to journal. And I've been journaling for probably most of my adult life, if not even before that. And sometimes it's a sentence, sometimes it's a paragraph, sometimes it's a page, depending on what's going on around me. But I always, in my journal, I always write something that I did well with. And even if I am having those moments where it just seems to be encapsulating myself into, pressure or performance of whatever kind, I always end my day with making sure that I looked and evaluated, and not evaluated as far as judgment, but just evaluated of saying, are you all right? Is tomorrow going to be a better day for you? And of course, my answer is now yes. Um, but so keeping a praise journal and helping you with little moments of, this happened, but this is how I dealt with it, or this is how I felt afterwards, or this is where I want it to go, or this is where I want to push it to. And by doing it that way, you're going to be able to look at being able to identify and recognize when you're doubting yourself or when you're punishing yourself, and that's going to be a very powerful thing for you to move forward on. And it's so simple to do. And we all have time. We really, truly do have time to write at least one praise for ourselves. And this is, call it a movement if you wish to, but you need to make a movement towards allowing yourself to be happy. And I also write positive messages to myself. Uh, in fact, I do a few things around my house. In fact, there's one right here. I write them on little recipe cards, and these are things that I review every day. And in fact, if they're on a recipe card, that means I'm usually reviewing them a few times a day, especially once in the morning. And I have my bigger book where it's more about everything that I want in life and relationships, financial success, relationship success, career success, health success. I break it down into those categories: travel success, and I call it success because there is no option on not being able to be successful in my life. And this is a time for everyone to be able to make that kind of adjustment and movement. And again, it's just little simple things about writing positive messages. Also, diminish the inner critic. We criticize ourselves way too often, and we criticize ourselves at will. And when we are able to, I always look at it as, and I do a lot of things like analogies like light switches, because if you want light, you turn it on. If you don't want light, you turn it off. And so criticism is darkness. And so, but you don't have to turn off the dark, turn it on to darkness, but turn on the light. Turn on the positivity. Don't really worry about, because if you're going to focus on trying to stop or diminish the criticism, then you're focusing on the criticism still. So stop focusing on the criticism. Start focusing on the light, the positivity. And by doing so, you're going to create a reaction, an energetic reaction of bringing more and more energy, a positive energy to yourself. And so it's like it, in self visualization is a very big key here in my life anyway, and I hope in many other lives. And what you're going to be able to do with when you diminish the criticism and turn up or amp up the positivity in your life, you're going to feel the connection. You're going to feel the connection to the earth. Your chakras are going to start to align. Your day is going to get a whole heck of a lot better. A perfect example, what happened to me just recently with Mercury in retrograde. I I was bumping, tripping, falling into anything. And I'm like, what is going on here? Like, besides just Mercury in retrograde, but what is going on here? Because I've never been so or felt off balance before. And I know it wasn't energy wise, it was in a very physical way. And so I did a few things. I went back into one of my journals, and I decided to write just a page on centering, balancing, and loving myself. And that's all I did. And I just reread it, reread it, reread it. And as I reread it, I visualized it. And as I visualized it, I made it come to life in a 3D kind of way. And before long, and even before Mercury went out of retrograde, and again, I'm not blaming Mercury retrograde, I'm not blaming anything, but it just so coincidentally happened at that time. I found that there was a shift. And even sometimes the most powerful people, and I'm not saying that I'm powerful, but even the most positive people in the world also still need a reminder to, hey, by the way, you're human and ouch, it's going to hurt sometimes. But that's okay because an ouch always goes away. Just like a bruise, if you allow it to heal, will heal and go away. So diminish the inner critic. Take the power away by putting the power focus on the positive. Um, because we live in an age of social media, update your Facebook status. I know people are like, what? Facebook status? Update it. Everyone, not everyone, but most people are on Facebook or most people are on some sort of social media platform. And if you are to update your Facebook status to having a happy day, beautiful work in progress, that's sending out energy. That's sending out awesome energy. It's going to get likes, and it's not because you need a like or to validate yourself or anything else like that, but it just creates a chain reaction. And it's allowing people to know and understand that, hey, even though there might be tough times around us, I'm still going to be looking for the beauty in today. I'm still going to be looking on the happiness that I can portray and project so that I can also be receiving that in return. Um, this is also kind of like a vision board kind of thing as well, about clipping out images that make you happy and putting them on your bathroom mirror, for example, or if you have like a vision board, clipping out things that you can easily look at while you're watching TV, even, and like putting it beside the TV screen or whatever, or in bed before you go to sleep, or when you first thing you wake up, is to see these beautiful pictures coming at you, and that's a very 3D kind of effect for your mind to focus on. And so it has an easier time because sometimes if we do have an issue or we do have some sort of blockage towards visualization, then having pictures helps us along that process to understand that, hey, we can still have it. It's just not, we may not be able to visualize it. It's like meditation. Some people can sit down and go and other people can't. And the people that can, great. And the people that can't, I always tell them, do active meditation. So if you love gardening, go to your garden and garden because you'll lose track of time. You're going to be focused on pulling the weeds. You're going to be very present with what you're doing without even consciously knowing it. And that's going to help clear space for you. So there's different ways of meditation. It just doesn't mean that you have to close your eyes, because I know most people say, I fall asleep. And I say, good, because when you fall asleep, that's when the real meditation starts. Uh, Remind yourself that you are good and gracious. How simple is that? Just to remind yourself that you are good. You're a good person. You're a gracious person. And that's all that matters. And when you lead with that foot forward, that gracious foot, positive, happy foot forward, then it not much can really hold you back, can it? Um, Write a list of qualities others see in you. Now, this is somewhat challenging, I guess, for some people because it's hard to identify looking, for example, in the mirror and having a happy talk with yourself and being able to look in the mirror and say, I love you, and not get a little bit skirmish or uncomfortable. It takes a little bit of practice, but when you're able to do it, it's not a narcissistic way. It's just meaning that, hey, I'm going to project energy out, and this is the energy that I planned on projecting out, the love. And so therefore, when you're ready and able to receive it back, you're going to be receiving back love as well, because you won't allow just by an energy force field, you won't allow any of that negative stuff to come back in. By all means, please comment in the comment boxes, because I can read them through Be Live. And thank you, Leo. Leonidas, I was able to, he's a friend of mine, and he just got back to Corfu, Greece. Corfu is my favorite island in the world, and I miss him already. But I was glad I was able to spend some time with him. End each negative thought with a positive thought. So it's going to take practice until you get into the rhythm of just going into that positive thought process. You're It's almost like that stop, block, delete kind of action where it's like, oh, hang on a second, that's not where I want this energy to go. This is not the positive way to go. Correct it in a fashion where it's all encompassing of love and happiness, and then let it swallow that positive vibe, and then finish it with I love you, and just send it back out to the universe. And you're going to notice that things get a lot brighter in your world for that. Also, I think that's very important for us to have goals. Exactly, Konstantina. She's from there as well. I think she's in England right now. Um, Jot down some goals. Jot down just one thing that you want to work on. Don't do 5, don't do 10, don't try to conquer the world. Just write one thing. And it can be so simple. So simple. One thing that I just happened to do, and I was explaining this to my friend over coffee last week, was that um, I'm in the process of losing weight, and I've been able to lose quite a bit of weight. And yesterday was a milestone. I reached one of those 10 marks, and so I was trying on some clothes that I had way in the back of my closet to see if I could finally wear it, because I liked it, bought it, and I knew it couldn't fit me at the time. And thanks, Tony. And I tried it on, and it fit, and it fit me the way it's supposed to fit me. It wasn't tug, the buttons weren't about to pop or anything. And so I recognize the fact that my hard work is paying off, and that it's going to continue to pay off for me because I'm dedicated to the process of being healthy. And then what I did to congratulate myself is to take a shirt that I used to wear that used to fit me. I took it off the hanger, I folded it, and it's in the donate pile. And so even though I didn't go out for ice cream to celebrate the occasion, I still celebrated because someone is going to fit in that shirt that I took off the hanger, and they're going to be able to afford that shirt, and they're going to pay way less than what I paid for it. And thank goodness that they can do that. So these little things about just reaching goals and going after something that's very obtainable. Uh, my shampoo video, I get impatient with things. I buy things in large quantities because I shop at Costco and all that sort of thing, and then halfway through it, I get bored. I want to go try something else. But my goal was to finish the shampoo bottle before I went out and got a new bottle of shampoo, and that's exactly what I did. I finished the entire bottle. So little things like that is going to make a big difference. Remember that self-hate is not an option. You don't have to have anyone or anything in your life that brings you down. And that also includes your thoughts. And it's not like you can divorce yourself, obviously. But when you are constantly self-hating yourself and beating yourself up, it becomes a lifestyle. It becomes a go-to. It becomes a safe place. And you only recognize the negative in the world. And when you change that focus and when you are able to say to yourself, I'm worth more, my value is able to not be associated with any kind of dollar figure. My value is not a possession. My value is to myself. And when you take away that option of going into the negative and self-doubt and self-hate, and you no longer accept it, you no longer invite it in, it does diminish. I guarantee you it will diminish. It takes work though. It takes practice. It's not going to be fixed in a day. Everyone wants to lose 10 pounds next in a week. We can't. It's not healthy. Do it in a healthy way, little bit at a time. What did they say? Rome wasn't built in a day. This is a big one. And this was a big one for me that I had to learn early on in life because my own doing was I needed to make sure that I didn't let anyone down. And so I almost became too afraid to try new things or try to go out and venture because I was afraid of messing up. And one day I just kind of like sat down with myself and I said, who cares? Who cares if anyone sees you or notices that you've messed up on something? It's learning for you. And would you rather learn or would you rather just stay stuck with being scared? And I don't want to be scared anymore. So I embrace messing up. I embrace being impulsive sometimes and getting my impulsiveness to do me little wacky things and buying stuff I don't need or going to a place that I don't need to go to, whatever. It I embrace it because you know what? There's a learning curve, and I think when we hear learning curves, it's been kind of like pushed down our throat so much that everyone now thinks learning is a negative thing. Learning isn't negative. Learning can be very, very gentle, and sometimes we don't even know that we learned until afterwards. Because it's kind of like, one day you don't know the answer, but then but like 2 or 3 months or even 2 years down the road, a similar situation comes up and you're like, oh yeah, try this. And you're like, oh, wow, I just learned from my mistake or from my mess up or that's how you connect. Don't worry about the big exam because there is no big exam. No one's going to fail. Just some people just take a little bit longer to learn. Oh well, we do it at our own pace. That also comes into with breaking the cycle. And when we have to break the cycle with things, again, it's determination. It's about sitting down with yourself, having a little pep talk with yourself, and just saying, today is the day that I start, by my choice, a new chapter that is filled with love, positivity, happiness, and humanity. Because I want to keep the human in the humanity. I get you're at that stage and you speak out, but at that, not your journey, do not spend. I don't care. The bill is the exam. I think I know what you mean, Duncan. Um, but you know, I don't think there's anything that is about paying the price. I mean, paying the price is just really a metaphor of life experience. And if life experience is paying the price, then I'd rather be invaluable. So, um, I just started going through my list because there's some things that I jotted down twice. I just realized. um, Also, just realize that there's no mistakes. These are just learning opportunities that we can take at our own pace. It's not a contest. We don't need to bring forward anything that will get us to speed up in life or anything else like that, and or anything that can affect us to try to um, that tries to give us a focus where, I need to be in front of this person or that situation, because it's like you're going to be able to learn, and when you learn, that's the joy of learning, is the process and the pace of your own. And it's always great to be able to breathe and to be able to just go, you know what, things are going to be okay, and they will be, they always are. Again, but you have to allow that, you have to see that they are. And when you see that they are, and you're able to condition yourself to look for that instead of like the doom and the gloom, the world's going to open up for you. Also prioritize. And um, the prioritizing, sorry, I'm reading some comments here. Prioritizing is more about um, making sure that you're focusing on one or two things as opposed to a big, huge thing. And I'm going to get back to you, Kathy, with that. Um, with your question, and so because that's coming up a little bit later that I want to talk to you about. Um, but when we do too much, we get overwhelmed, and when we get overwhelmed, we just kind of stop to try. We just stop, caring or trying, or we just drop things, and then we don't really finish anything, which makes us feel worse because we're not accomplishing any goals. So always make sure that everything is appropriate with goal setting and that sort of thing. Um, and then when you do, or when you have accomplished a goal, and when you have reached that peak, then I suggest that you reflect that on everything that has passed with that. And it's not necessarily about identifying the life lesson right away, because that does eventually come out, and usually it is sooner than later. Sometimes not, but most times it is. But when you're able to reflect on the process, it it gives you an education on another level. And with that education, you can use it for many things else that goes on in your life, and that also can help you with other people and how they affect you. Um, because as long as you understand that w- no one is allowed to break you down, and if someone is breaking you down and trying to make you feel worthless or unworthy, it's because we've given them some of our power, and probably not willingly. And it's easy to give away power, especially when we don't know necessarily of how to hang on to all the power. And so, with when someone is around you and they're making you feel less than worthy, and you may not be able to get out of the situation, for example, a marriage or a relationship, or a family member that you need to be connected with, um, then all you can do is work on yourself. And when you work on yourself, and when you're able to rise above the occasion of when someone is trying to put you down and make you feel unworthy, there's no use in arguing with them, because they're not going to see it. They're just not going to see it. But what you can do is just, it's kind of like, just because you're invited to a fight doesn't mean you need to show up. It just means that you choose to decide to use your energy in a different way than trying to communicate with someone that's non-communicative. And and so what my suggestion is also, as well, is to also get and seek counseling with that. It's really interesting here in Ontario. It's changing. The culture is changing. But when I go down to Los Angeles, for example, if you don't have three psychiatrists on your roster, then you're crazy. But up here, it's kind of like you say the counseling word, and people are like, "Oh, I don't need counseling." And I think counseling and being able to talk to someone that is unbiased and in a situation, but yet professionally trained with it, can help do a lot of insights. And I always suggest, to always go on your own in situations with a coupling kind of situation at first, so that you can get to your roots, so that you can feel safe and protected. And then if the other person's willing, then bring them into the counseling. If not, it's your journey. And sometimes people in our lives are with us because we are learning something or they're learning something from us. Exactly. An intuitive therapist is best. John said it. And so always, always, always be able to reach out for someone that's able or that you emulate or that you look up to with being that positive person or being able to have a strong will so that you can lean on them because that's also what we are as humans as well is we do bleed and we do break our bones every once in a while, but we also can mend one another to help create a better life for everyone. And you're not alone. And this isn't always about a journey of secrecy and exploration. This is about being able to say, okay, this is what I can do. This is what we can do. And sometimes it'll be a lot of just me, and sometimes it'll be a little bit of we, and sometimes it'll be a lot of we. But being able to go with your with the rhythm of where the learning is taking place or where you're being guided to is what's going to really identify what you need as me or we. Something that was suggested to me, uh, it's about perspective. And when we're self-doubting ourselves and when we're focused on beating ourselves up, we tend to go into our own world, and our own world is huge and massive. The issue or the problem, I don't think there's ever really a problem. There's only solutions, or there's only opportunities to be solved. But the opportunity becomes overwhelming. And so someone suggested to me once before in a conversation about what they do is they they take a look on their computer of a map of the world, like from like a NASA kind of point of view, and you look down at this massive world, and then you realize, oh, this may not be as big as what I thought it was. And and on top of that, also think about that there's what, 7 billion people in this world. When we self-doubt, we always think that we're being judged, not only judging ourselves, but from others. 7 billion people don't care. They're trying to live their life. And so probably most of the time, no one's gonna really care that you had that extra piece of chocolate cake and that you think that you're fat. The reason or overweight or that you don't have the right haircut or that you're too stressed out in your job or you don't connect with a certain person. And it's not because they don't want to care, it's because they're living their life. And so when you look at the world in a sit back kind of way, it's kind of perspective, at least for me anyway. It's perspective about, yeah, you know what, this is pretty small and it's time to move on from that. So also one other thing that I do with giving myself praise is I've done this before actually, is I wrote a thank you note to myself and I mailed it to myself. And I and it, I just mailed it whenever, like it wasn't like right away, and it kind of like reminded me when I did get it that um oh yeah, cool. What I also do for travel is I always mail myself a postcard from wherever I am. So if I'm in London or if I'm in Greece or wherever, I always mail myself a postcard and just going, I'm glad I'm here on the back. And it just, when I get home, because I usually come home before the postcard comes to me, and it's just a really good memory. Um, so highlights a little bit, focus on more positive self-talk. Thanks, Duncan. Um, when we're doing more positive talk, we focus on that. We naturally dim the self-doubt. Practice kindness to yourself. it you know when even Ellen DeGeneres says, be kind to one another. And so one of the things that you have to do is really focus on doing practice kindness, and practice kindness everywhere, no matter where you are. Practice kindness, right, Duncan? Um, so, and stop comparing yourself to others. You live your life. Everyone has their own issues, their own situations, their own concerns, their own happiness, their own love. And when we're able to stop comparing ourselves to anyone else, it just helps us again reorient ourselves, focus on ourselves, and look at what kind of love that we can have for ourselves, and that we can send out to the world in an energetic field, and so that it helps with the healing not only of the self, but also helps with the universal healing as well. And I said this before: think of mistakes as learning opportunities. Everything's is an opportunity to learn from, and learning more about how to love and how to be kind, how not to have mean words towards someone or ill intent to someone, is just a really wonderful thing to be able to put out there. And be patient. Always, yes. Every single day is a new day for you to be happy. No continuation, no throwback from last week. Every day is a brand new day to set the tone and the mood for your entire being. Even if you stub your toe in the morning on your bed, you know, that's just a really tiny moment. It should not affect your entire day. You should not go to work grumpy. It happens. Life happens. So get over it. Focus on, well, at least I didn't break my foot. And so when we start looking at it that way, you're going to be able to realize that, hey, I am in power. I am in control. And I like it. I was watching Cheryl Richardson. She was doing a podcast for Hay House. And one of the things that she, someone was asking her something along the lines of what we were talking about tonight. Um, and she said to ask yourself this question. I just need to find it. Um, it's about values and about valuing yourself. And so, how would a person value himself or herself in a healthy relationship, or with food, or with a health, or with um, a successful career? How would a person value themselves if you had a healthy whatever? And she was using this because she's been trying to lose weight, and she has been losing weight. So she's on this healthy eating lifestyle, and she's almost vegan. But anyway, so so before she would eat something bad, she would say, how would this make me feel? What value is this going to give me to my body, to my mind, to my soul, to my spirituality? you know and so obviously you're going to choose, or hopefully choose, the healthier options. Yes, we all like potato chips and all that sort of thing, but when you put a value of onto something, and not necessarily a monetary value or a value of hierarchy, but just a value of what the value is going to be for me, then we're going to start making a lot of more healthier decisions and choices, with being able to um, grow as a human and grow as a spiritual being. Because I always say I'm spiritual by nature, human by design. And we're here to learn on a spirit level through a human existence. But even though there might be some people that we don't get along with, and some people we get along with a little bit more, for those people that we don't get along with, or for those situations that affected us, such as depression, or illnesses like cancers and all that sort of thing, they don't exist when we pass. And but in order for spirit guides to guide humans better, they have to come down here and learn that way and take back the knowledge and information of the experience themselves. So I'm going to go into the questions because I have seen them. Where's my mouse? And by the way, thank you so much for letting me in your life for the last 40-ish kind of minutes. Sorry. In the long run, those learning curves make us stronger. Absolutely, Christine. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger, kind of thing. And so it's like, not that we should be thinking about that kind of situation, but we are here as to exist. We're here, so why not exist in a happier environment that we create, and move through the whole thing with life with not a chip on our shoulder, or not something that has someone that wants to do ill will, or throw negative energy, or bad words towards someone, but to make us all feel better, and to make ourselves feel better. Each day is a new day, a new use. But so many of us get caught up in the same shit, different day. Absolutely. Instead of getting to the root of the issue, terminate the pattern or routine. I find changing a simple thing in your everyday routine is powerful. And that's true too. Like, use your intuition. There's often times where during sessions with clients that when I've basically have helped them try to listen to themselves better, some of the feedback that I get is pretty astounding, where it's about changing a routine. And so being in a difficult relationship but not having the energy yet to perhaps end it, or walk out of it, it's about the preparation. And when we start preparing ourselves for a better tomorrow, and instead of allowing that person to send hurtful words to us or to make us feel pain on an emotional level, we put a block on it. And through that block, that's a little thing that we take our power back. And so when it is time to be able to transition away from that situation, then you're going to be able to, right, small steps lead to bigger steps. And so building blocks are going to grow. And as you grow, you're going to be able to really take more power, more control, less self-doubt, if any self-doubt whatsoever. Yes, there's going to be times where we're unsure, but unsure and doubting are two different things. And when we're unsure, that just means that there needs to be more information available. And if there's information that's not available, then we go seek out the information. We become informed. But self-doubt is just basically saying, nope, I'm crap, and that's it. See the difference? I've eliminated all the negative Nellies around me. Good for you, Christine. That's one thing that I really do powerfully suggest to you. I don't care if it's your best friend that is a negative influence on you. If that person is a negative influence, please do not be afraid to walk away. You don't need to have a big fight. You don't need to have a big dramatic ending, but you just need to understand that I'm worth more than what this relationship is giving me. And it's time for me to take back that power. And I've done it. I'm very grateful. I've been very blessed, and am blessed to have fantastic, beautiful friends in my life. But there have been a few times where I just had to say, done. I am gone. I am out of here. But it takes courage to do that. But it does get easier. If there are a lot of people or a few people in your life that you need to get rid of, the first one, it's gonna be torture. You're gonna definitely want to breathe and go in a coma. But it does get easier, because what happens is when that energy is removed and you have time you have that space to breathe, you're going to feel so much better that you don't have to deal with the constant negativity that you're going to be like, it's almost like kind of like, who's next? Like, who doesn't fit in my world anymore? And before you know it, those faces have changed, and the more appropriate, positive people in your life have come forward and have allowed you to share your story, and you allowed them to share their story with you, and you support one another and grow with one another. But I, I'm I'm very fortunate where I've always been someone that once it's done, and I don't look back. That I don't know if it's just because of practice or whatever, but it's always been that way. If we are done for whatever reason, then I don't need to look back. There's no need to. You know, I'll take what I need to take with me moving forward, but I'm going to leave all the shit behind. And that's what you have to do, because if you regurgitate and regurgitate and regurgitate, that's only putting some more self-doubt on you. What did I do wrong? Why didn't I do this? Why couldn't I fix that? Sometimes it's not about that. It's about being able to just say enough is enough. We need to cognizant of stepping outside our minds and viewing situations from a third party perspective, as if we're viewing ourselves from someone else's perspective. We have the ability at every moment to change a bad experience into a good one simply by recognizing that no singular event or experience defines us. Nothing is final, and we have the ability to change a story just by choosing to do so. Well said, Timothy. Um, Thank you. Thank you. You just made my day, my night, for just having some thought behind what we've been talking about. And thank you for being a part of the conversation. And hi back. Um, and the story isn't written. Yes, there is definitely certain things that as a soul we need to accomplish, but our soul didn't write down definite points. It's not about you have to marry Roger on March 22nd, 2020 at 5 p.m. That's not what our soul does. Our soul says, okay, we want to learn this. We meaning anyone that you've chosen to be in that pod with you. Your mother, your father, your brothers, your sister, your aunts, your uncles, your grandparents. So this is what we're gonna do. This is how, whatever happens during that time, it's called free will for us humans. And so whatever free will happens, we're still going to make sure that we hit our main points, but we're going to allow this thing called life to grow. And we have the choice to make it grow in a positive way or a negative way. Thank you, Christine. Very much blessed. I think that is all I really have, unless anyone else has any questions. Soul lessons are entwined in our free choice. The most powerful thing we have is choice. Absolutely. And today, we've all chosen to be more powerful, more loving, and more gracious to ourselves. And if you have that extra piece of chocolate cake, we just get back on the bandwagon in the next meal. Or if we skip that workout, then we make sure that we go to work out the next day. Life will go on. So why live with regret? Why live with the fact that we're going to diminish our light by beating ourselves up? Glow, prosper, and flourish. Yes, I'm going to do this. I'm getting more and more comfortable with doing this more frequently with people. Please share this with your friends and like me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that sort of good stuff. Um, Thanks, John. In fact, John is a beautiful friend of mine from Los Angeles, and we met through when I was in Los Angeles doing the Ann Walker show on UBN Radio. And John has graciously accepted my challenge of trying to get me technology, social media savvy. And so John and I will be working together in the future with doing Blog Talk Radio. I think it's called Blog Talk Radio, and other projects in regards to live stream and that sort of thing. So If you have any suggestions with any future topics, please let me know. You can write to me, info@lewismabee.com. Visit my website, lewismabee.com. And thank you so much. I'm so blessed to have you all in my life, no matter if it's on just on a Facebook or in person. And have a great rest of your evening. Bye for now.